Excellent. Hello. Welcome, Powerhouse Smart friends and colleagues. I am so excited here to invite you for our next episode of our PowerHouse Cool Collabs podcast. We have a fabulous guest today. And as you all know, I keep this really tight, 20 minutes, commutable if you're going somewhere, although in today's traffic, it might be that you get to listen to 2 episodes. I hope not. Yes, but today I have this amazing guest who was introduced through my network, and that's really how life is. So I guide you, and I advise you that you should always be open because you get to meet amazing new people like today's guest. So I'm so excited. It's like inviting her into my own home. So we're gonna let Bria Hammel, this renowned interior designer, although she's very young still in her career, opportunities for way more. Microphone and introduce yourself. So Bria, blessings. Thank you for being here.
Yeah,
Share.
thank you so much for having me. So sure, I'll share a little bit about where I came from and how I got to where I am now. So I went to Kansas University for college. Thought I was going to be a fashion buyer when I went to college. And like I tell most freshmen entering in school, like be open-minded because life changes and things happen. And when I figured out that being in Kansas was probably not the best place to focus on fashion and getting into that world, I opened my mind up to other opportunities and just really following my passion. It came from a friend who was living with me in a house. There was 7 of us living in the same old house in downtown Lawrence, Kansas. And she said to me, she's like, every time I walk into your bedroom, so not even the house, but just my bedroom, she said, you just have something special for doing interior design and like your attention to detail. And at the time I had no money, so it was all DIY, everything. The era of Martha Stewart. She said, she's like, you're just a little mini Martha Stewart. You should really do this for a career. And it's so funny that, your parents can say things to you, your family can say things to you, but it takes that one person that catches you off guard. And it just made me think, maybe I'm going down the wrong path and fashion isn't what I want to do. So I talked to my parents and said, I really think that I want to switch career paths and focus on interior design. Luckily, there was a school in the area who had a really great program for interior design. I knew that I wanted to do residential design, which can be a harder program to find because most design programs are focused on architecture and commercial design. And I just knew that I really cared about homes. My mom is an OBGYN, but her passion was interior design. So I grew up in furniture stores and wallpaper stores, and we lived in, I want to say, 8 different homes when I was growing up. I moved from Texas to Minnesota, and then she just flipped houses for fun. She just really loved to renovate and decorate and do it all over again. So without really knowing it subconsciously, it was my world my whole childhood. So I switched and fell in love with interior design as soon as I started those classes. And that's kind of how I fell into interior design. I had the opportunity to work as an intern for a lead designer in the Lawrence area who did both residential and commercial design, which was great to just affirm my thoughts on wanting to focus on residential. But you learn a lot by working on commercial projects as well. So I feel very grateful for that experience. And I stayed there for 2 years after I graduated college because I loved working for her so much. But then my parents were like, it's time to come home, Bria. We want you closer to us. So I listened and I moved home to Minnesota. And it was challenging because, as you know, this world is kind of small and it's very tight knit. And I didn't know how to break into the design world in Minnesota. So I took a job as a designer for Ethan Allen, which is residential design. That's great, but it's a whole different type of business. You are in sales, you have budgets to meet, you're on the floor greeting people who have no idea who you are, and you have to sell yourself and the product. And looking back, it was a really hard job and it was wonderful and really shaped who I am as a designer now and the opportunity to run a business. I learned the business side, which isn't always taught in design school.
Mhm.
So I'm really grateful for that experience. I ended up being a store manager there, and I managed 16 designers, and I was 24 years old, managing designers who some of them were, twice my age, and just trying to learn how to do that and stand up to their expectations, of who is this young girl telling me how to do my job. And so it was a lot of learning about just being supportive and there to help them, and taking what corporate was teaching me and trying to bring it down to them. And it was just a really great experience. I don't necessarily want to go back to that world. It's hard. It's a lot of hours. It's a lot of weekends and holidays. Give a lot of credit to those people who are in that world still working those hours. But really grateful because I don't think that I could have the successful business that I do now if I hadn't had that.
Wow. Wow. First of all, you're so humble. That is so awesome for you to share that, because there are a lot of people who are listening to this and, do start in the furniture world, and, and they feel like, well, that's not why I went to design school. I want to be doing these big, huge, penthouse mansions and whatnot.
Yeah,
But the fact that you're reinforcing that, just like, you had to learn somewhere, and you
right,
put your heart and soul into everything you do, regardless if it's, the smallest or the largest job. So blessings to
right.
you for
Oh,
reinforcing that. I think that's
thank
amazing.
you. Thank
So
you.
so here you have to give yourself credit though. You weren't just a great designer, you also had a business mind. And so that's
Yes.
really, really cool. So then you left this Ethan Allen kind of opportunity to be like a leader of 16 showroom salespeople. And then how did you launch into your own? And then where has that gone from there?
Yeah, so I left there. I had an opportunity to work with a designer, a high-end designer in Minneapolis who was a parent of one of my friends. She was 60 and decided to open her own firm at the age of 60, which is such a story to tell. She's just such an incredible woman who just was not afraid of anything. Age is just a number. And she brought me on board to support her in that opening, which again was such a learning lesson for me of watching her. How do you open a business? What all do you need to do? What's the paperwork? What's the documentation? How do you gain new clients? All of that. She was so gracious to me to really trust me to be there for that. And so I worked with her for a few years, and then I became pregnant with my first child. And my husband and I decided that it was probably time for, at the time, I didn't really know what I was going to do. I never had intention to have this great big design firm. I just knew that I loved design, but I also knew that I wanted to be able to create my own schedule and be with my children as much as I could. So I stayed at home, and my in-laws agreed to watch my son once a week. And that was the day that I would meet with clients. And then the other days, if I needed to work, he came with me. So he was coming to the design center with me, and furniture stores and wallpaper stores, which now, like, full circle, exactly what my mother was doing with me.
Yeah.
So I slowly rolled out the design firm. It was a lot of family friends and some of my friends' parents that were helping. People from my high school community really was supportive for me. And it just has always been organic growth. I've never been a huge advocate of trying to do something that I wasn't ready for. With that being said, I'm also open to challenges and I'm not afraid to try something new. So I think that that's why we've been able to grow to where we are now. 13 years in business, we have 18 employees, and I actually own two businesses. I have Bria Hammel Interiors, but I also own Brooke Lou, which is a home decor e-commerce, soon to be brick-and-mortar store business that we opened in 2018.
Wow. Wow. Wait, we went from I'm writing words down. I hear, path that you found your path of passion back from college. You're so humble. And then I wrote down fearless, and you're minded. And then I got into organic growth, and boom,
I know.
two businesses. So how, for someone who's starting out, how long did it take before you hired your first person? And then when did you decide to roll into a bigger group and then a second business? Please
Yeah,
share.
so I opened my design firm technically was when my son was born in 2012. I literally opened it when I was 9 months pregnant. Not probably the smartest thing to do, but I feel like it was almost like an excuse for me to slow roll into it because I know how I am. I will put my blood, sweat, and tears into anything I do, but having him kind of allowed me to gradually get into and be a little bit more thoughtful of what I was doing. So the timing actually was right for us, even though it sounds crazy to do. I hired my first employee was probably right at the 1 year mark. It was a part-time assistant designer. And shortly after that, we ended up opening a small office so that I didn't have to work out of the house. My son was home with a nanny, and it just felt like I could focus more on work when I was at an office and focus more on him when I was at home. So that was 1 year in. And then it was just a slow roll after that. And we've done, we've scaled down before. I think I've had 20 to 22 employees at one point, and we were overstaffed and didn't have the right people. Not all the right people. Some of those people are still with me and are wonderful. And then we learned from that and have slowly scaled up again. And now I have a rock solid team. I do not do this all by myself. And I think that's what makes it so fun is that I get to mentor every single day, and that's really what I love to do.
Okay, so I was going to ask you that out of all, these two businesses, what's your favorite part? And I'm hearing the mentoring, which is such a beautiful thing, since certainly you realize I tell everybody the three pillars under the podcast are people who believe in collaboration, leaders who believe in collaboration, giving back, and living with an attitude of gratitude. And I already see those three things that are glowing under just who you are, Brie. But so let me go back to you hired your first interior design part-time, and then you started growing. What led you to having the second business? And what I understand is you're doing projects, your interior design firm is doing projects all over the world. How do you become global?
Yeah. So the biggest thing for us is social media. We leaned into Instagram early on when Instagram became a thing. It was not a thing when I started. But as soon as businesses started to go on it, we leaned into it and have really set aside a focus to make sure that we're on it daily and engaging with followers. And just really, it's a huge part of our world. I hired a marketing person really early on to help me navigate that. And, they're the experts in it. And it's just been a huge focus of ours. So one of the reasons why we started Brooke Lou is that as we were growing on social media, we were having a lot of followers asking us for our sources, which is great. But of course, at the business person that I am, I thought like, I keep sending these people to other people's businesses. Like, why don't I figure out a way that I can capture their business as well? Maybe they don't want to hire a designer full time, or maybe they can't afford to hire a designer, but they can afford some of the products. How can I how can how can I monetize this to really, grow my business? So we decided to open Brooke Lou, which was online exclusively for the first several years. And it's just been a really nice way for me to curate products and allow us to be more accessible to people. The hard thing about design is that there's only so much time in the day. And so, as much as we have such wonderful people reaching out to us to work with them, we can't say yes to everybody. So, this was our way of me being able to say yes to more people.
Oh, that's great. And I've been getting all your emails. As soon as I met you, I was already on it and so excited. And so Brooke and Lou, first of all, I get an email from Amazon, right? Amazon Sundays.
Yes, we do weekly Amazon Sundays, which again is keeping us approachable because we are high-end designers, and I don't want to lose the grounding that Amazon brings. It's accessible to everybody. So I actually really enjoy that little newsletter that we do every week of me just finding things that are worthy of shopping on Amazon.
Wow. Wow. That is so great. So which do you spend most of your time on now? Is it, and you kind of have like a little empire growing there. So
Yeah, I definitely say I would say I'm probably 75% Bria Hammel Interiors, 25% Brooke Lou, just because I have a solid team on both. But there is just nothing I can get around of clients wanting FaceTime with me. So I definitely have to dedicate a lot of my time and travels to the design side of the business. But I am the person picking out all the items for Brooke Lou still. We don't have a buyer. I am the buyer. I'm curating it. I have someone who helps me once I pick everything. Basically my team takes over, so they execute for me. But it's been my way of being able to really keep the curation on brand and to really be my voice, which has been really fun. It's something I really enjoy doing. Maybe that goes back to that fashion buying that I wanted to be back in the day, So it's been really nice. But I will say I spend a majority of my time is on BHI.
Okay, great. So I love Brooke and Lou, and for people that are here that want to go to Brooke and Lou and want to buy, and so there's a lot of interior designers, architects, and builders and landscapers that are going to be listening, but hopefully the
Yeah.
general public, of course.
Yeah.
So if you were to give me kind of a quick synopsis of what are you going to find with Brooke and Lou, maybe you could share that.
Yeah, so I think it's a really great place to access if you look at our portfolio. It's not that we use all the products in our work, but it's a really great curation of products that would fit really well into our work. A lot of times our design dictates what goes on Brook and Lou. So it's not that we tell our clients, oh, you need to use all Brook and Lou. By no means do we do that. Otherwise, our work would always look the same. But a lot of times it's more of we post a picture from a project on Instagram and all these people start asking me, where is that from? How can I get that? And then that tells me like, okay, that would probably do well on Brook and Lou. So it's a curation of home decor. We do have our own fabrics and wallpaper that we design with a local artist here in Minnesota, and it's printed locally for us. So that's exclusive. We also have exclusive rugs, and then the rest is just products that either I've designed with other brands. Like I have a licensing partnership with CR Lane, who is a wholesale upholstery manufacturer. And so we sell those products, which to the direct to the consumer, they don't have access to unless they go to a furniture store or a designer. So it's a way for them to access some of that product. And it's continuing to grow. I'm doing more licensing projects now with brands, some really exciting ones coming up here that I'm not quite allowed to talk about yet, but stay tuned. And it's just a really nice place to go to be able to find those more special, one of a kind pieces. We do offer a lot of antiques that I source when I travel, and we sell it on Brook and Lou. So it's just a really nice, great place to go and find beautiful home decor that's traditional but has like that fresh take to it. Yeah, so it's really exciting and it's really a great extension of our design business.
I love it. I love it. So you're sharing with everyone, not just the design community, which is amazing. And if a designer uses you, then, that's her resource,
Well,
right?
and I will say that at least 25% of our business on Brook and Lou is from the trade. So we do offer a trade program, special discount prices. And I have a whole team dedicated to trade specific. So you do kind of get an internal assistant if you want to shop on it. So you would be surprised how many designers, even though they might have access to the products that we're selling, there's order minimums and there's the whole headache of having to manage and order it and where to ship it to. So we can ship it directly to the client's house for them. They don't have to have a warehouse. There's a lot of pluses, and especially for those companies that are small and maybe one person businesses, they can kind of lean on us to help be their assistant in that way.
Well, being an interior design firm yourself, you know what services are
Yeah,
so, incredibly helpful for another designer. So it's perfect. So again, full circle, giving back. You're giving back
exactly.
in many different ways. We're very
Yes.
important and collaborating. That's a beautiful thing. So I do have to say that I was telling a bunch of people that I am getting to talk to you today, and they're like, find out what she's working on in Europe. She was doing a project in London or something. So if I'd be remiss and not asking about that. And then I do have some final questions I always ask all my guests, and I want to go there next. Yeah.
Okay. So we don't have a project in London, but we decided in the last probably 2 years that to really make Brooke and Lou a success and honestly to grow my design team and their abilities and their experiences, I needed to start ex exploring different parts of the world. So we've actually been to India before. We went to Paris. We're going to London in January. And it's where we're sourcing now. So Brook and Lou isn't just products that you can only find in stores in America, but it's also products from all over the world, which is just an opportunity for us to bring more awareness to people who can't necessarily make those trips. So we can bring products here that they won't be able to find anywhere else. And that's really exciting for us.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, what I'm going to put below here in the links are all the different ways that you can reach Bria and all of her beautiful
Yeah.
companies are two companies that are vertically integrated and help each other and help blend and grow. Also, a great role model for those of you in the industry that are thinking, well, how do you expand? Where do I go
Mhm.
from here? And she put a lot of course, sweat equity in the beginning and really trained herself. But I just really love that you're willing to share all this with everyone here today. And I know you're going to be a future speaker at our luxury conference this year. You are already doing another project somewhere and committed on our date, but we'll
Yeah.
definitely be having you in the future. So thank you again for your honesty, your authenticity. You are really a big deal, and you,
Oh, that's so
you try,
sweet.
you try to make it so low key. And so I said to you when you got on Zoom this morning, I'm like, "Oh, are you in your home? Are you a home office?" You go, "No, this is my office." I'm glad you said that because that's exactly what we were going for.
Exactly, exactly.
How I feel when I go to your website or I get your emails. I'm like, "Oh, I'm home."
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thank you.
Sure. So I like to end our podcast. It goes so fast. I mean, I could certainly talk to you for a lot longer, and I can't wait to give you a personal hug when I am in Minnesota or you come to Chicago. We're in the same.
Yeah.
Is how would you define a well-lived life, Bria?
I think that when you fill your life with people who you love, and I am a huge proponent for travel. I learn so much when I travel, not just about places, but about people. I think that when you can combine the love of family and friends along with seeing the world and opening yourself up to those experiences, there's really not a better life you could live.
Right. Oh, I so agree with you, and so I feel like you're now part of my powerhouse family. So I'm giving you a hug, and I'm thanking you for your time today, and give your beautiful family all my blessings. And we will see each other very soon. Look below and all the different places to find Bria and Brooke and Lou and all the other exciting things we talked about today. Thank you.
Thank
Namaste.
you so much.
Thank you.